We are at 3 o'clock, so I'm going to call this special session of the Library Board of Trustees. Oh, go ahead. All right. Thanks, Pam. We're going. We're ready?
Yes, we are.
Excellent. So I'll call this special session of the Churchill County Library Board of Trustees to order, and we'll get started with a Pledge of Allegiance. All right, so we get to start our session with a call for public comment. Is there anybody in the gallery today that would like to give a public comment? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Mel Glover. I'm the director of the Churchill County Museum. I've been a longtime friend and advocate, I like to think, of the library. I think the museum and the library just form natural allies. So when both of us are stronger, that makes us better. I just want to say something that I've kind of heard grumblings about this board. When the previous director, when CL, that whole situation, none of y'all were on that board. So anybody, if they want to make comments about the board, that wasn't y'all. When Kathy left us, I was pretty good friends with Kathy. I've known other good friends with Kathy, and we've been asking, it's like, why did she leave? Why did she leave? And we don't know. We don't know why Kathy left. I'm not certain that I would be laying the blame at the feet of the board. Now, having said that, the buck stops with you guys, right? So I think that there's something more that can be said, something can be done. I don't know what that is, but I just want to know that there are members of the community who do not lay blame, but at the same time, it is your responsibility to try to fix this. And I hope we can do it, and I hope we can do it sooner rather than later. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Can we respond or no?
Items of public comment are not agendized, and so it's advised not to respond to those.
Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate you, Mel. And we appreciate that comment. Does anybody else have a public comment to give us during this time? All right, everybody's holding really still, hoping I can't see them. That's just fine. So thank you again. Let's go on to a roll call of members.
Ryan Swarzak.
Okay. Jessica Rowe.
Sue Segura.
Maddie Cerna.
Sari Kaler.
Thank you. All right, so we're coming into our business consideration and possible action regarding the approval of agenda as submitted or revised. Pam?
Pam Moore, for the record. The agenda was posted on July 8th between the hour of 8 and 9 a.m. at the locations listed on the agenda in accordance with statutes.
Thank you so much. That was the verification. I appreciate that because I misspoke. Now we are in the consideration and possible action regarding the approval of the agenda as submitted or revised. Could we get a motion for that approval?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Thank you, Trustee Swarzak. Can we get a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Maddie. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. The motion carries. And in our old business, we are now coming to the consideration and possible action regarding the appointment of Kendra Flower, Patsy Esposito, or Thomas Patterson as the interim director for the Churchill County Library, or to authorize Churchill County Manager Chris Spross to perform the administrative tasks and duties of the library director, retroactive to June 20th, 2025, while the Library Board of Trustees continues to search for an interim director. Point of context, we have had these individuals step forward for us. We've got their materials and we've looked through that. And now we're going to make this decision so that we can keep the library stable and sustainable. As we do that, do you have any advice for us, Jeff?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And if you'd like, I know Kim from HR is here as well, if you'd like to hear from her just on some background of that. But as far as the discussion, I can do some of the presentation for Kim on that if she's okay with that. My understanding is there have been, yes, the 3 letters of interest that have been submitted for the board to consider. As the board can see, it's agendized so that you can consider any of those 3 individuals to appoint them as interim director, or if you want to continue a search, you can do so and authorize County Manager Chris Spross to perform administrative functions, signing things, making sure payroll's approved, those kind of things, and the board is, or the library's functioning. I'm not going to tell you anything you don't know in this little bit of advice, but just as a reminder, these meetings are on the open record. They exist and they last forever. And so anything that is said or done will exist and last forever. And so as you discuss individuals, just remember that when you're discussing someone's kind of professional ability, there are larger consequences to that potentially, whether it be their current employment, future employment. Some individuals may be past, current, or future employees of the county. We don't know all that information, and so just keep those things in mind when dealing with things like speculation or discussion of their professional ability. And so I know you know all this. Obviously, stay clear of things like protected classes, discussing those kind of things, because those are not to be considered by the board. And so that's just a little bit of information and some advice from the district attorney's office. Any questions that arise, please feel free to ask.
I appreciate that, Jeff, and I also appreciate the reminder that we may have some information that Kim might want to provide as we take this step as well. Is there anything else that you would like to provide from the perspective of HR for us that will help us make this decision?
Kim Brunsma for the record. We received the 3 applicants for your review, so I think everything that I have for you guys has been included in the packets.
That sounds good. And one of the other things that, as we start to move toward this interim appointment, I'm certain that there are going to be some things that we want to question or discuss as we do it. But to keep ourselves very focused here, our interim director is helping us maintain the sustainability and stability of the library services. And our library staff has been very, very proactive about making sure that they're doing the same. I've really appreciated the expertise that they have provided, their willingness to work with each other and to put in the hours that they need to continue to serve our public. And I did reach out to them very briefly to ask for things that were their concerns and their hopes as well, and they're in alignment with us. We're looking for support, we're looking for communication, we're looking for stability, and we're looking for collaboration. And so I wanted to thank them for that, and I wanted to thank our public for answering our call. Everybody that has put themselves in the box has done so with a desire to help keep our library strong. So I wanted to start with that thanks before we moved into anything else, and to thank the county for their help here. So now I'd love to open that discussion up. I was curious if we had any of our candidates present today in the galley. I was wondering. Thank you for coming and representing. Does anybody have any questions that they would like to ask, or any discussion points that they would like to raise in this as we move towards this?
I have a few discussions, Sue.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So just, I had these in forms of question, but I wrote them out. So what I'm trying to say is I want to make sure that the interim director enables a cohesive environment between the staff and herself. The staff has a lot of library knowledge, and I would like the person who comes in and steps into this interim position to rely on them and not have a power struggle. I'm worried about somebody getting this huge position and it going to their head rather than saying, oh my goodness, maybe I'm in a little bit over my head, and Tom, Magdalena, Lily, Jessica, can you guys please help me out? So I don't know how we can go about determining that, but I just wanted to make it public comment.
Well, I appreciate that concern. I think that the cohesiveness and stability is really important. The interim director, as a role, has some limits in comparison to the permanent director, and I hope that that would be comforting. I mean, the interim director role is kind of helping make sure that time is allocated fairly, that jobs are moving forward in a rational and reasonable manner. They're supporting all of the function of the library, but they're not necessarily encumbering the library with things that would be, maybe that check would be cashed after they had left the role, right? So they will be relying a lot on those library staff and would want to take that advice from them. The relationships of the staff is, of course, of deep importance, and this support to them is part of what we're trying to provide. Sue, you had a comment.
You know what? Am I on? I didn't know that Penny's last name was when I knew her in Winnemucca. I've known Penny Dennison for 25 years, and I can tell you she's positive, she's smart, and has the skills for finance. She taught for, 20-some years at Lake Pyramid, and that's a feat on its own. Lots of different backgrounds. My history with her as a principal in Humboldt County, always willing to help, and everybody in our community thought very positive of her. So I just wanted to say that about Miss how do you say your last name? Esposito? Okay, thanks.
I appreciate that context, Sue, and I am really just pleased at the people that have stepped forward in this, and I appreciated reading the letters. So I do appreciate the warmth, and I'm sure that the reference is also appreciated, right? Does anybody else have anything that they want to bring to the discussion or consider?
I'm curious, and maybe further on in the meeting would be the appropriate place to discuss this, but do we plan or would it be a good idea for the board to meet more frequently, have more frequent interim director reports during this transition time? Just something that I'm thinking about. I know that probably the board isn't deciding that right now, but I just wonder if that would be appropriate.
I really appreciate the question, Maddie. I think that one of the things that, as we make this decision, if we make the decision to appoint one of the three applicants today or to rely on the county to do some signatory duties for us, we'll probably want to at least address some of this in our next regular board meeting on how we're going to give support from the board for the individual that's taking on this and give support to our library staff through that individual for a while. We'll certainly want to be updating on the progress of the application for the permanent director. That is also something that's going to really need to be a primary focus for us. And so I think that there's a lot of different ways that we can lend that support. It's not really agendized in that way today, although we could do a little bit of that and maybe set up a starting point for it. But we certainly need to be thinking about how we do our role appropriately. So thank you.
I have a question for Kim. I was thinking about this morning. Have we done any survey with the staff members that are there as far as a climate survey to give us some feedback. I go in there and I talk to, different people. But, as a whole, how is the staff doing? Have we given them a climate survey? So we have feedback when we go to look at our new director.
I'll let Kim respond really quickly, too. I think that right now, several of us have probably tried to take an opportunity to talk to the staff and see how they're doing, to give us some perspective as we try to make this decision about how to support them. But a climate survey, have you done anything formally? We have not directed you to do so, so I don't anticipate.
Kim Brunsma, for the record. We have not done anything officially. I mean, I've been in communication with different members, different employees of the library, and gotten feedback that way. But if you wanted something more specific, I don't know if you're just looking for how they're feeling now, or if you're wanting information on maybe what they're looking for in a director, what they think would be supportive for them. I'd be happy to take that information and put something together.
I would like to see both of those.
Okay,
A
so
climate survey and what they would like to see in a director.
I apologize for jumping into you, Sue. I didn't mean to do that.
That's fine.
I think for today, I think it's an excellent avenue to make sure that we are hearing our library staff. For today, I would love to hear some of your informal impressions, as well as any of the board that would like to share some of these things where they think that support to that staff could be given. But as we move towards the permanent position, perhaps we can talk about a climate survey in the next meeting so that we have some material to prepare us before we interview the permanent candidate. What do you think, Jeff?
I think that would be appropriate. Today, I think we're kind of weaving through a couple of the agenda items because we have right now we're on the interim director. And if the question is, do you want information now on how they feel about an interim director? That's one question. If it's hey, just in general, how are they feeling? What do they want to see? What input do they have regarding the selection of a director? There is the agenda item to discuss the future steps and approve those things, and that can, I think, all be wrapped up in that discussion, and then either formalize that or at the next meeting it could be discussed as well. But however the board would want to proceed on that.
Okay, so at this time, I mean, did anything stand out to you in your dealings with our library staff that you think we should consider informally as we think about appointing an interim today?
I don't have anything that stood out, no.
Okay, I appreciate your willingness, and then we'll come back to this when we talk about item C, I think.
Jessica, can I put in, I talked to Magdalena a little bit, and she pointed out some things that she was worried about with getting the interim director.
Okay.
Am I allowed to?
I think that as we approach some of these things, one of the things that comes into the public record is we probably want to maintain some privacy.
Okay.
And I also think that we want to maintain privacy on any complaints that might deal with individuals or that might identify members of the public or other people that we're working with. We want to be sensitive and cautious there.
Right.
But if there are things that any of us would like to raise that we would like to consider, then go ahead.
Just the big thing is confidentiality, how it is a have-to need in a library setting, how you can't go around talking about what patrons check out or what they've asked you about. And she and me both, we are both just very concerned that they have that knowledge before they take this role.
That is an excellent comment that deals directly with the mission of the library, right? And so a good training before taking on the reins is probably well served. Anybody that has dealt with private information in a setting that finds privacy important, like education, like legal, all of these sorts of things. They know exactly what the stakes are here, so I'm glad that you raised that. But yes, I think we'd advocate for some support to that person before they take it on. Did you have anything that you wanted, or are we good? Does anybody else have anything that they wanted to raise or consider?
Are you ready for a motion?
I think that if we have done the communication that we want to, and we've had all of the questions that we wanted to, I would entertain a motion. At this time, we've got several options here.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Penny Esposito to the interim job at the county library.
All right, we have a motion on the table. Do we have any discussion or a second that comes to that before we take that on?
I move to second that.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Let's take a vote.
Aye.
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 Aye, the motion carries. Thank you so much for being willing to serve the library. We really appreciate your willingness. All right, so this second piece is just a little, this second piece of business is to just authorize Chris Spross.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes,
This
please.
is Jeff Weed for the record. The board has moved to appoint Ms. Esposito. I think she's here today, but obviously there will need to be an acceptance of that essential offer. I don't know if the board would like to discuss or authorize HR to extend that offer to talk about potential compensation, those kind of things. They're kind of hanging out there. This may be the time to do that.
Thank you for reminding me to make sure that I've tied all my knots. Sometimes we start to see the door and we think, oh, this meeting's going to go so fast and nobody's fighting. It's great. I think we started this conversation last meeting by discussing the piece of operation where HR from the county would approach the candidate with the offer, negotiate the salary. We did indicate that we wanted to pay that person and to extend those offers. I would also probably like to put in front of the board that we authorize HR to help us start that training too, because I'm certain that there is a little bit of material that county could provide that would help with the privacy concerns and some basic operations of how to work well with our county partners and be very functional.
Do you want a motion?
Actually, I would really love to hear from Kim to see what she would need from us in order to get this done, so that we can give her the tools that she needs.
And Jeff Weed for the record again, as she's coming up, also a start date or an effective date for that interim position as well.
Tomorrow? I'm just teasing.
Correct. I think we're unified in the desire that as soon as it is convenient and possible, we need the help in the hands. Yeah. So, from your perspective, do you have everything that you need if we just authorize you to make that offer, to negotiate an appropriate salary? We've got some salary savings, so we've got some room for this. What else should we authorize so that you have what you need?
Kim Bronsema for the record. I think as long as there's some latitude to negotiate the salary, we have a start date, we know a potential time frame, I think I'm okay to proceed.
Excellent. And on the topic of training, do you have tools that you need, or would you like us to look at other resources in order to provide some support to the person as they come in?
I would need some other resources. I don't have any library-specific training at my disposal.
All right, so that helps me. I think in my mind, that means that county-based training for just being an appropriate part of county can be in your purview. And what I will do is reach out to the library and to the staff there to see what tools they have to help with some of these training pieces, because all of those librarians have the expertise and we'll rely on them to help us provide some training. I'll do my part as well to look for some of the trainings that could help with things like privacy and library mission work, okay? We're looking for, in this case, probably a motion to authorize county HR to make the offer, to negotiate the salary, to set the start date, and to provide any of the county resources that will help that person. And possibly including in that motion that we will meet sometime within this week with library staff and provide that resource as well for the training. Does anybody feel comfortable making that motion?
Prior to that being made, sorry,
Okay,
I
thank
keep
you.
jumping in here. Just as far as budgetary restraints and those kind of things regarding negotiation, authorization for salary range, it's obviously budgeted right now within the library's budget for the current library director position. And so I think however the board wants to do it, but could authorize within that range to negotiate a compensation of whatever it may be.
I'd like to say I'm real confident in Kim and our new manager. I'd like to make a motion that they take the lead on this with salary, anything. What else did you want me to put in there? Salary,
Salaries, start date. And resources from the county.
and resource from the county on, I think it's important they get some kind of county employee training. And they're probably going to have to go through, you guys do pull pack, Chris? And go through some pull pack training and things like that, too. You got it.
Okay, so we have a motion, as I understand it, authorizing Kim Bronsema from HR to make the offer, to negotiate the salary within the boundaries that we've discussed, and to offer county resources. Can we get a second?
I'll second that.
All right, so we have a motion from Sue and a second from Sari. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, the motion carries. Thank you so much. So in terms of the second item, there were some pieces of business that needed to be done, and the county has helped us just maintain the operations, things like signing of payroll, things that are just crucial to the operational function of the library that needed to be done while we were trying to find a signatory body. So the item B is here to give that retroactive permission from the board to take care of the things that needed to be done in order to maintain a sustainable service in the library. So the consideration and possible action regarding authorization for Churchill County Manager Chris Spross to perform the administrative tasks and duties of the library director retroactive to June 20th, 2025, until the interim director for the library is appointed and begins work, allows him to continue to do this until our interim director can take the reins. Does anybody want to discuss this or make a motion?
I'll make a motion to authorize Churchill County Manager Chris Spross to perform the administrative tasks and duties of the library director retroactive to June 20th, 2025, until the interim director for the library is starts as the interim director.
Thanks, Ryan, I appreciate it. So we have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Sari. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, the motion carries. And thank you, Chris, for all of the help that you and your people have done for us. We appreciate it. Item C is a consideration and possible action regarding the discussion, direction, and approval of the next steps for appointing and hiring the Churchill County Library Director. I think we're going to need Kim for some of these pieces, right? We have had some discussion of what's going on with this. We know that the position has been posted, that the tool has been approved by us. It's been up. It will continue to be up for the sum of an entire 5 weeks, after which we'll begin the review. Help us know how to help you finish this out.
Kim Bronsema for the record. So the posting is up. It's also posted live on RGJ and various online recruiting sites locally and nationally. It's also up on the Mountain Plains Library Association, which is like from Nevada, I think maybe to Kansas. It's a little group there. So that posting is up for 4 weeks. So it closes on August 4th. And then, as we talked about last time, we would do the pre-screening, get the review panel together, and get it narrowed down for you to interview. The one question I did have was that at the last meeting, members of the review panel were suggested, and I am wondering if I could get the ability to adjust, remove, or add if some of those people are not available through schedules or whatever reason.
I appreciate that, Kim. So just as a review, in the last meeting, we had identified the head of our Friends of the Library Association, or CLA, Chris Spross, Kim from HR, and an interim director. If they're to help review, vet the applications and bring us back a number of candidates so that we could then interview, so that the board wasn't all involved in that. It is supremely practical to say if somebody is not available at that time, you would like to be able to bring in a reasonable replacement for that. I'm comfortable with that as long as we do have strong representation from library invested individuals helping vet these candidates. And so if somebody is not available or doesn't feel comfortable doing that kind of work, reaching to somebody like perhaps library staff, perhaps a member of the board, just one, perhaps something else, like a suggested person that would have some knowledge, expertise, and some skin in the game to help with that would be my preference. But yes, I know that the county wants to identify a very strong candidate. You're not going to do anything that gets in the way of that, and we trust the process that you've given us. So does anybody else have any questions or discussion on this?
I would love to see someone on the library staff, if there is someone interested, being on that panel, whether or not everyone is available. I don't know if that's something that we needed to have made a motion on previously, but just personally, I think it would be great if a current library staff member could be on that panel.
Yeah.
Well, we'd have our interim director, is that not right?
We do. Currently, the suggested from our board included the interim director.
Okay.
What Kim's asking for is if somebody becomes unavailable for whatever reason, does she have the latitude to choose somebody without coming back to the board? And I would say yes, as long as we're just considering the needed expertise and availability and a good. But I'm comfortable giving her that with that commentary and just saying yes.
I am also comfortable giving Kim that latitude. I just think that if any of the people currently employed at the library are interested, it would be good.
I think it would be a good motion. Do you have anything that you needed in there, or? Does anybody else?
I have a comment. The former state librarian, who is now on the governor's interim program, Tammy Westergaard, said she would help Churchill County in anything or in any way that is needed.
I appreciate that, Sue. I have been incredibly grateful and felt very connected to both our Churchill community and our broader state community and all of the help that they've offered to us. I think that what we're being asked for in this motion is to just go ahead and approve what we have described, to continue forward, to approve that Kim have the tools that she needs to make a replacement, if she needs to that reviewing body, and to proceed as we've described. Does that give you enough? Is there anything else that you need?
I was hoping for a little clarification on how many candidates you're looking for and what date. I have like a tentative date of potentially August 28th to set up interviews. I don't know if that's something we want to wait and see how many candidates we have and discuss it at your next meeting and go from there, or if you guys had any thoughts on that.
I'm just looking at my calendar too, so as you see me lose the eye contact, that's what I was doing. In terms of naming that number, we did wait until we knew how many applicants actually were qualified. So that review piece, there was kind of a pre-review, and then we looked for a reasonable number that we could vet in the confines of the day that we would need for the interviews. I don't see anything on my calendar that would keep the 28th from being functional, but I do know that we've got our regular board meeting and then the next regular board meeting before we'd have that day come through. So if we had to make an adjustment, based on what we find from our applicant pool, when that pool closes, we have some support for meetings. We could support, I think from here, we could support the date of the 28th if nobody else has anything that is keeping them from that date. If it is the soonest possible date that we can do this well and fully, then that looks like a good date for us. In terms of a number of candidates, I mean, we had looked at a 3 to 5, 5 being, but I'm comfortable just revisiting and affirming that date, at the next regular board meeting or after the job closes. Does anybody else have an opinion on that?
The job closes August 4th, right? So our next regular board meeting would be the 28th. I would think that by the 28th, if you came back with how many qualified applicants on the 28th, and then we could do a special meeting for interviews on the 28th and set that date.
Okay, so we have one board meeting on the 24th, and then we have one board meeting on the 21st, correct? Or is it the...
It'd be the 28th.
So it is the 28th. So we would probably want to consider a special session if we are trying to interview on the 28th. That cuts you too close, correct? Okay.
Why would it be too close? I don't get that. It closes on the 4th.
I would need at least a week prior to that so I could get them scheduled.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Right.
And we'll interview on the 28th? Is that what I heard? Okay, thank you.
We're pitching to interview on the 28th.
Okay.
And then give Kim a solid number of the applicants that we want to see prior to that. We could choose to do that in our next regular board meeting or in a special session at least a week before, so maybe on the 21st. or to do it today in speculation.
We have a meeting on the 24th of July, right?
We do. And so I think that that might give us some time to think about that. But 3 to 5 was the logical number that we thought we could get through in a reasonable period of time, the last time. Anything else that's giving you heartburn?
No.
Well, you have another shot at us in the next regular board meeting. So if you start to notice things that you haven't anticipated, that you have a question arise, we are here to be a resource. I think that to take the public comment to heart, we really need to be available and invested for this as a board rather than as individual entities. And so whenever you need to do that, just make sure that we're giving you the time we need to support. In terms of this, though, I think we probably ought to give you a motion in support of continuing in the process as described, the latitude to assemble the review team as we described, but also if you need to make a substitution based on availability to within the best available operatives that you can to do that, so that you can not be held up by those kinds of time features. Does anybody feel comfortable making that motion to give her the support?
I move that Kim be able to move forward with the hiring of the director and forming of the panel with latitude to bring in additional people as necessary.
Thank you for the motion, Maddie. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ryan. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. The motion carries. Thank you so much. All right. So now we have room for our next public comment. Is there anybody that's in the galley today that would like to make a public comment? Everybody got really still again. I'm not a velociraptor. I can still see you. But I really appreciate you coming. It's a good full galley, and it speaks well to the commitment of our public. Since we have no public comment, I move to adjourn. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.